In recent years, I've really gotten into Hayao Miyazaki's works. These magical animations almost always manage to captivate me with their wonderful animation, music, story, and equally important, with their theme. Ghibli animations carry subtle themes with them. In this video essay, I want to explore what I perceive to be the most prevalent theme in what many would argue is Studio Ghibli's magnum opus that hasn't really been talked about before. Let's explore greed in Spirited Away. From the get-go, when the movie starts, we see Chihiro's parents. Her father especially is portrayed to be the embodiment of a Western capitalist who has little concern for those who he perceives to be lesser or in general about his environment. He has a know-it-all attitude, saying the family clearly just stumbled upon an abandoned theme park when they find the gate to the spirit realm, and no matter where he is, he walks around like he owns the place. Chihiro's mother, although seemingly less of a driving force, rarely interjects in his behavior and follows suit in his actions. After entering the premises of what we know to be the lands of the spirits, the parents head straight for a shop with no shop clerk present, attracted by the deliciously smelling food. The definition the Oxford Dictionary offers for greed is an intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth, power, or food. Now at this stage, they're clearly feeling greedy, since they mentioned earlier they have food back in their car, yet immediately head for what they perceive to be the better feast, but feeling something and acting up okay they're eating it. Well, Chihiro's father mentioned before starting to gobble down chickens and other goodies that he doesn't own, that he has cash and a credit card, and while that's good for him, greed is something that Hayao Miyazaki always makes sure to punish in his movies, and so when Chihiro returns to her parents later, she finds them as pigs. And as traumatizing as this must have been for little kids watching the movie, it serves its purpose. Their mom and dad are literally transformed into greedy pigs. This is the first and most obvious instance of greed. The greed for food, the most natural of all of them. But there are layers in this movie. Let's get to the second one. My interpretation of NOFACE's actions in the movie is that he's a reflection of his surroundings. He seems to be driven by the desire to find out what the desires of others are. This starts by him entering the bathhouse and observing Chihiro attempting to get the ticket she needs for a customer. NOFACE observes the frog spirit giving out tickets to the other spirits in the bathhouse and gives Chihiro a ticket. He later, happy to have found out her motivation, is very disappointed to find she's no longer compelled by the tickets he brought her. Remember him? He's pretty greedy, and he's not alone. All the spirits in the bathhouse operate solely driven by the desire for wealth. This is clearly shown when the stink/river spirit arrives and everyone immediately starts collecting the gold left behind by it, with no thought to the other spirits or Chihiro, who was forced to do the bulk of the work. In that scene, we can see NOFACE in the background observing, just like he did with Chihiro. When the frog spirit comes back in the night to look for leftover gold, NOFACE does what he did with Chihiro. He offers the frog what he thinks he desires, and this time he's spot on. Abandoning reason and blinded by greed, the frog spirit ignores the fact that NOFACE shouldn't be there this time, or at all, and comes closer and closer until suddenly he's swallowed. And it's at this point that NOFACE takes on the wants and desires, the greed of the frog spirit. This can be seen when he takes a lavish bath and starts consuming all the food he can get his hands on in the next morning, giving out gold to everyone around him. It stands to assume that this is what the frog spirit desires. When Chihiro then feeds the medicine ball to NOFACE, he's forced to throw up everything that corrupts him. And when it's all done and NOFACE leaves the bathhouse, he's transformed once more, no longer driven by greed and lust, but instead by the faint understanding of the motivation of Chihiro, the desire to help a friend for no other reason than the love for them. But what is at the root of all the greed that corrupts this spirit realm? I think it's Yubaba. The first instance of Yubaba's greed can be seen when she takes Chihiro's name and refuses to give it back until Chihiro completes her tasks. This act of greed is not only selfish, but also puts Chihiro's life in danger as she becomes trapped in the spirit world. Throughout the movie, Yubaba is shown to be obsessed with gold and material possessions. She's constantly counting her wealth and is unwilling to give up on her riches even when it means letting Chihiro and her parents go. Her greed is also evident in her treatment of her workers. She expects them to work tirelessly without rest and pays them very little in return. In the river spirit scene, she forces her workers to give up the gold they collected already and give it to her. While Chihiro's parents and the bathhouse spirits are driven by greed for food and wealth, and this is certainly also a part of Yubaba's character, what drives her is still a different kind of greed, a deeper one. The greed for power. She lusts for power so much that she infests Haku with a slug that forces him to obey her command, just like she forced Chihiro into obedience by stealing her name, and she sends off Haku to steal Seniba's, her own sister's, golden seal. The golden seal, though not further explained in the movie, is said to hold great magical power, and that is what Yubaba ultimately wants. She wants to control all those who surround her, from the baby who isn't even allowed to leave the room, to the workers under her contracts. She is the ultimate evil within this fictional world. She is the embodiment of greed. So far, I've done an awful lot of talking about everyone except for the main character. And there's a reason for that. Chihiro is the opposite force to Yubaba. She embodies kindness, love, and generosity. She doesn't want to have riches or power. She gives up the pile of gold just as fast as she gives up the golden seal, so long as it helps her in helping those she loves around her. She's not motivated, like the others, by food, wealth, or power. She's motivated by those she likes, and nothing more. This pure love for others is what breaks the spell that's killing Haku, helps NOFACE from escaping the toxic environment he was in, and ultimately allows Chihiro to save her parents. And in the end, her acts of kindness reflect in all of those around her. I think that's the message. Kindness spreads, and so does greed. So be careful to not get consumed by your own desires. If you want to see more videos on animation, then watch this video I made on the cooking in Howl's Moving Castle. And thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.